What's going on, everybody? So this video is going to be kind of different. I am answering some questions from Brad. Shout out to you for asking some pretty cool questions, and this video is kind of go onto not necessarily a rant, but just some things that I feel like everybody should, at least be prepared to experience, whether it's in business, in Amazon, or in everyday life. So let's get right to it. So Brad, he is in the Tanner J. Fox Facebook group, so that means he has purchased the actual course, and I'm not sure how far he is in it, but he messaged me on Facebook. A bunch of people have been messaging me on Facebook, which is awesome because I really want to help a lot of people, which is why I'm doing this channel along with my music stuff, which I have been slacking in. I apologize. Let me tackle that real quick. So the reason I've been slacking, I really have no excuse, but I want to purchase some Sennheiser headphones, or however you say it, and I need to get an audio interface. I'm probably going to get a Focusrite, which is pretty much the only thing I've been recommended by a bunch of people who I trust in the industry and who are my friends. I know there are other brands, but as far as quality and price, that's probably what I'm going to go with. But anyway, I'm going to save up a little bit and wait until I've solidified myself on Amazon, and then purchase those, and then get just like balls to the wall on music. Like 2018 is gonna be just non-stop focusing on music, so it's gonna be awesome. So that covers that if you're wondering. But Brad, he asked me a couple questions. They're really good. They all kind of tie together, but they're kind of tying towards what like clicked when I found my product that's successful now. And I want to touch on like successful. So for me personally, I think success has different meanings for everybody. For some people, it's making as much money as Bill Gates. For others, it's just traveling the world and sharing your story with your best friends. I think both are cool, but I think having your own definition of success and a plan to move forward on that, I think is very important no matter what you're doing. So he asked what kind of clicked to help me become successful and find this successful product. So I don't consider myself successful yet. The success I'm seeing from this product is good. It's what I want. Right now I sold 300 units in about 2 weeks. It was like 2.5 because I got some returns and then sold those, which actually helped out. But so from that I made a profit of about $3,500, give or take. And then that was actually after ad spend too, because I only spent like $200 on ads. I had budgeted for $500, but I spent like $250, so which was superb. But so for this next order, scaling it up to 350 units. So again, I'm budgeting for $500, but it's probably gonna be about $200 on ad spend. So that is gonna be it's gonna be $4,200. I explained that in other videos, profit. But again, that's going back into the product because I wanna scale this up to 500 units a month, which is gonna yield me about $9,000 a month in profit, which is plenty for me. I don't think I've stressed this enough. My goal isn't to make $1 million off of Amazon. Of course I'd like to, but I really want something that can run in the background with very minimal effort from me, so that way I can focus on music. But I need money to buy all my music stuff, so that's why I'm doing this. And I also like, I like running my own business. I like having my own business. So it's not a cool factor. It's just mostly I like being my own boss, like reaping my own rewards and not, Actually, I have done this when I was consulting, is working really hard on something and then having somebody basically take all the credit. So I hate that. It's like why I hate school projects. I hate it. But anyway, so that covers like my success. But yes, my products are yielding pretty decent profit. It's not like $10,000 a month, but that's very, very rare. I wish I could give a definite number, but I've seen Pablo do it. I've seen that guy from Canada do it. I forget his name. He has his own YouTube channel too. And I think there's been one other guy, but it's been revenue. It wasn't profit. He did, like, I did $11,000 in revenue, but my profit was, you know, about 33%, which is a good goal to have. I'll do another video on like the rule of 33. I know there's like a bunch of different ones, but basically it's you want a third of all the money that's involved to go into your pocket when you start out. Of course, when you scale up, which is what I'm doing, you want it to grow and grow and grow and trying to get to that 51, 52% or higher. But, you know, that's where I'm at right now. So, but, you know, some things that have clicked. So I launched two, I don't want to say fail. Okay, so one of them was break even. Learned a lot from that one. Number two, I rushed into that, the second product, and what's actually really cool, I'm gonna make a separate video on this, but I ordered it all back from Amazon. Amazon was doing a really cool free removal deal. Took advantage of that because it was probably gonna cost me like $800 to order all my product back, because I still had, I counted 67 units today that I'm actually gonna sell to food trucks. But again, that's a whole separate thing. But that product failed. It was a complete failure. I sold 20 units maybe after selling them to friends to get my ranking up. Made $20. That's how low the profit margins were. So, you know, I'm finally starting to see success. But as far as the grand scheme, as far as, you know, the big picture, the grand scheme of things, I think that's how you say it, I'm not successful. You know, I really want to build this business to about $10,000 a month before taxes, and then focus on music. And then I honestly don't care about how big I get with music. Of course, I don't want to become famous, but I want to get big enough to where I can travel the world and play my music for as many people as possible. I don't care if that means playing at all the small venues around the world or at the biggest festivals. Excuse me, I actually prefer the smaller, more intimate venues because you're just like right there with the crowd and not like on the big stage and, you know, 30 plus feet away from your fans. Even though I guess you could technically get in there and join them, but I like the smaller venues, to be honest. So some things that really clicked, it's just been like trial and error. So learning that you really need to, number one, you need to plan for 2 months of inventory. So let's say you find the good product after meeting all the criteria, talking with your supplier. You want to make sure that you can afford 2 months worth of products. So if your product, let's just keep it simple. Let's say it's 300 units of sponges. They're just special sponges. I don't care. And you wait a couple days to see how sales are. And this is where it gets tricky because you'll launch, your plan of launch is going to be different. Some people I've been seeing doing giveaways. Some people have been using giveaways through JumpSend. I haven't seen anybody really successfully do it yet. Maybe they just haven't been vocal. And I actually saw a guy on the Facebook group who was confused about why he was losing money and owing Amazon, which is not a good spot to be in. But that's what happens when you give 99% coupon codes off your product. You're gonna lose money in the short term. But anyway, you want to figure out your reorder point, and that way you can turn around and say, okay, this is a success. Now I need to get another 300 units in for next month, because you don't want to be in this situation, and this is kind of the situation I'm in, because my product sold out in like 2.5 weeks. I couldn't, order enough back in. My reorder point is basically like 5 days in, because it takes me about 25 to 30 days to get my product from the supplier to the Amazon warehouse ready to sell. I'm gonna make a whole separate video about reorder point, but you want to make sure that you don't wait for the month for all your units to sell out until you order again, because then it's a whole nother month, and guess what happens to your rank? It plummets. Unless you get some returns and it like sells 1 here, 2 there, 3 there, then it kind of like helps steady things out a little bit. But that's just basic business common sense, is you never want to run out of product because you're losing money. So that'd be my number one thing is, okay, I can afford 1 month, but will I have enough money to order the second round, or will I have to wait? But if it's a phenomenal product, and you don't have the money to order it, still just stick with it. Like, that's what's going on with mine. You know, it's not a phenomenal product, but it did $11,000 in revenue, and like about $3,500 in my pocket, which I'm totally cool with. But it's going back into the second order, so technically I haven't even made any money yet. But again, I'm scaling it up. So that kind of ties to just planning ahead. Some things that really clicked was just being patient with your planning. So, if you want to work on a plan 8 hours a day, you can, get it together in probably like a week. I didn't have that much time because I was mostly doing it with product research, and then I drive for Uber and Lyft too, among other things, music. So I couldn't dedicate that much time to it. But be patient with your planning. Make sure the numbers line up. Make sure you know what you're doing. So many people are still asking like really ridiculous questions, like, where do I get barcodes? Excuse me, it's in the video. What do I put on the packaging? What type of barcodes? I'm not gonna go into that because it's covered in the course. I'll probably cover it later, but it's like, you probably should watch these videos again and again and again and again until it like clicks and you know what you're talking about. So I hope that answers that question. I'm sorry if this video is gonna go on, but this, like I was saying, it's gonna be like a rant-ish. So his other question was, what changed? You wanna see what I'm reading off of? I'm reading off of the napkin. And if you'll notice, my setting is different. I'll save that for something else, maybe. It was a whole stupid fiasco. But anyway, I'm reading his other question off my napkin, and it says, what changed when I figured things out? What milestones did I hit? What knowledge did I gain? So I already kind of covered that a little bit. So as far as milestones go, I guess my biggest milestone is still ordering my first product, figuring out what criteria you should look for to meet in order to have a decent first product. Even though it was only break even, but I learned a lot from it, because I was like, okay, so the criteria that Tanner tells us in the course, it actually works. It's actually the stuff you could look for, and you should actually push to even more specific criteria. Instead of 300 units a month, maybe look at 350. Instead of profit margin of only $10, look for 12, look for 15. Because the better product you find, the better you're gonna do. I guess you could take another route of finding like mediocre products that make you $1,000 and just get like 10 of those, but you'll be spending so much money for like imagine if you have 5 products that only bring you back $1,000, but they're each $2,000 investment, and depending on how much money you have, that can take a very long time to like acquire those 5 products and then scale up if you even can. Just learning what works and the PPC, the advertising inside of Amazon. So besides the budget you should set, I mean, this is all part of one budget, but besides the budget you set on how much you're willing to spend for the actual product, you need to dive so hard into your advertising budget, because I think I spent $600 or $700 for the first round of my first product advertising it, because I misinterpreted things. There's one technique to where you can basically, so you have a daily budget, and then you have a budget per, if you're doing manual, you have a budget per word, when people search it. So for the sponges, you obviously want to have sponge, and if it's a purple sponge, you probably bid on purple sponge. So you can set 50 cents every time someone like clicks on your ad. You're willing to spend 50 cents when they type in sponge or purple sponge. And then for your daily budget, you can set, I think minimum is like $1. But if you're like in a competitive space like that, it's probably gonna be like $50 or $60 a day. Will you spend that? Maybe. That's what you should prepare for. There's a technique to set your daily budget to $300 a day and like 25 to 50 cents per word. I did that and I didn't pay attention to it because I was like, I'll just put this on autopilot. It was a bad idea. Never doing that again. But that was definitely another milestone, is just learning how PPC works, really focusing down on that budget and not spending more than you're willing to lose, no matter what, because you can always find other ways. Even though, in my opinion, advertising within Amazon, PPC, that is the best way to sell your product on Amazon. He also asked, how competitive should you be? So this is actually a really good question. So I guess something interesting about me is, like, I don't really like confrontation that much, and I don't really consider myself that competitive. Like, when people challenge me, I'm just like, okay, I don't really care. I guess maybe when it comes to like DJing, like if you want to like, spin off or something, then yeah, I'll throw down with you. But like when it comes to like a pickup game of frisbee or whatever, I'm just like, I just want to have fun, really. That's really all I want to do, is have fun. But in the business world, you do have to have a sense of competition. And this is kind of how I tackle it. So instead of seeing a good product that you can't really stand out, I look for ways to stand out. So let's go back to the sponge. So let's say, the top 10 sellers are basically selling the same thing. There's no way to really make it different. You can't make it any bigger. You can't change the colors. You can't bundle it. You just have to like advertise more basically than them. So can you win that market? Yes, you can use a plethora of different avenues to advertise and get your product in front of as many eyes as possible, because if they're all the same, then that's basically all you have to do, is just get it in front of as many people as possible, as efficiently and as effectively as you can. What I like to do instead of doing that is, okay, so I can do something with the sponge. Okay, so this guy, he has the most colorful sponge. This seller, she has the best bundle. This other seller, they have the biggest sponge. This other guy has the most absorbing sponge. So I just sit and think about what type of sponge or any type of variation that will make my product stand out, that is worthy of a niche to actually pay this amount of money for it. So, which is actually how I, my first product, this is probably what made it successful, to break even at least, was that it was different than all the other ones. It was a different offer. Not to go into too much detail, but instead of like 1 or 2, it was 6 of different types. Maybe I'll reveal that product later, but it was very different. No one else was offering anything like it. And then product 2, I, for some reason, didn't do that. I basically was selling the same thing as the guys who were killing it, and they already owned the market, and I couldn't afford to out-advertise them. And then with this third product, that's what I'm doing now, is I am completely separating myself from all the other sellers, and it is helping me out a ton. So in that aspect, that is how I get competitive. I offer something new. Most of the time it's better, which is what I highly recommend, because this is not just in sales, but everything with sales and everything really is, the person who usually wins is the person who provides more value. I know that's not always the case, but think about yourself as a consumer. Do you want to buy something that's, the same as everything else, or that you can find more value in? That's how I like to think about it. Always think about yourself when you're buying your own product, because you are buying your own product. You're buying a ton of your own product. So you should believe in it and believe that it provides value. So that's kind of my rant, kind of answering your questions, Bradley. I hope that helps out. As always, guys, you guys can message me, email me, comment on YouTube if you guys have any questions. I have a bunch of stuff going on right now, so I can't really crank out the videos until later without my computer and stuff. Long story short, I'm in a temporary place, and my current place has a mold infestation. It's finally being taken care of. But anyway, shoot me a message, guys. Don't be shy. Alright, but that's all I have for you guys. Be awesome, be kind to people. Peace.